Citrus Salmon Skewers with Greek yogurt dip, orange juice and lemon juice, both fresh. And then I have the zest of both orange and lemon. So that's going into, along with a lot of parsley, lots of really finely minced parsley, some garlic, very fine, and fresh dill, which is amazing, and then a little bit of paprika. This is basically gonna be the marinade for the salmon, but I'm also going to use it to flavor some yogurt to dip the salmon in. So it's just gonna go a long way. Little bit of paprika and then salt and pepper. And you can use different fresh herbs that you might have in your garden or your produce drawer, depending on what time of year it is. Some olive oil. Okay, so I stirred that all together, just a real green, delicious marinade. And I'm gonna pour half of this over some chunks of salmon. So Alex, come in and look at this.
Chunks.
Don't forget to do your close-ups, Alex. Okay? Don't forget, Alex. And then I'll toss the salmon chunks in this beautiful marinade. Did you know I did not like salmon until I was well into my 40s? You need to just give it a chance. It kind of started with smoked salmon and bagels. Then I moved into the grilled salmon world, and oh, it's amazing. So look at this, Alex. And you can do this a little bit ahead of time if you want to kind of let it marinate for a little while, but we don't have time for that. And also, I poured off half of it because I didn't want any of this to come in contact with the raw salmon. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm gonna build the first skewer, and each skewer just gets 3 chunks of salmon. The salmon is a little bit delicate, so you wanna keep the chunks pretty big so that when they cook, they don't completely fall apart and fall off the skewers. Okay, so put it on a little sheet pan, sprinkle with salt. All right, so that's 1 skewer built. I'm gonna build the rest, and then we'll put them under the broiler. So come with me, Paige. I've got the broiler all set to go, so I'm gonna put it in the oven and broil these for just about 4 or 5 minutes. It doesn't take long at all. You don't even have to turn them. So while they are cooking, I'm gonna make that beautiful yogurt that I told you about. This is gonna be sort of a dipping sauce or just sauce in general for the salmon. So I've got plain Greek yogurt, and I just kind of do a big pile right in the center of this dish. And then I just use the spoon to kind of do little swirls and make little divots here and there because I've got the rest of this beautiful citrus marinade that I used for the salmon. So you can kind of drizzle or just kind of do a little pile right in the center, and then kind of get it around the edges. It's so pretty. You can sprinkle some like really diced red bell pepper, really finely diced red bell pepper on top if you want some color, but I think this is just beautiful. And then I have a platter of arugula, and I'm gonna put the beautiful salmon on top. I love arugula, it's so peppery and delicious. And you can leave the salmon in the oven for as long as you need. If you like for it to have a little bit more color on top, you can, but I love it when it's just barely done, very, very tender. I love sweet potato soup, but to use purple sweet potatoes is an absolute revelation. First of all, they're delicious, but second, they're just a glorious, deep purple color, and they make the most beautiful soup. And this is one of those soups that you can make for company or just for your kids on a weeknight. I just fried bacon in a big Dutch oven, and then I took the bacon out of the pan. So into the same pot, I added sliced red onion, some minced garlic, oregano and thyme, and I'm just stirring it around. Oh, it smells so incredible. And look at this pan, Paige. Look at the bottom of this pan. Look at all that flavor in there.
Yum.
Now that is the start of a delicious soup right there. Okay? So now I'm gonna add the purple sweet potatoes, AKA purple yams. You can find these really in specialty grocery stores year-round, or like regular supermarkets, sometimes get them in the fall. I love any root vegetable soup. And so you could actually use all sweet potatoes, or you could use sweet potatoes and turnips or parsnips. You could sort of do a root vegetable celebration. I like going all purple. It just kind of drives that point home. So I've got the potatoes and the onions all mixed together. So I'm going to cook this mixture for 3 minutes. Alrighty. So those have kind of had a chance to start cooking. So I'm going to add some cumin. Yummy, yummy with sweet potato soup. And coriander, another great fall spice. And some salt and pepper. And then I'll give it a quick stir just so the spices kind of coat the potatoes and the onions. My gosh, I love this soup. So I'm gonna add the broth. I'm using vegetable broth, and you can use chicken broth if you're not interested in it being like vegetarian. I just picked vegetable because usually when I make like a root vegetable soup, I'll use vegetable broth. But any kind of broth will do. So 1 carton plus a cup or so. Okay, give it one more stir. And now we just have to be patient. I'm gonna crank up the heat, bring this to a boil, and let it cook for 15 minutes, and then I'll finish it up. Okay, the soup's just about done, so I'm going to make an incredible topping that is part of the wonder of the soup, and it's part of what makes it so pretty too. So the bacon that I cooked in the pot, right from the top, I'm chopping it up, and it's gonna be part of the topping. Okay, so I've got a little bowl, and I'm gonna put the bacon in the bowl, and then I have some other things to add to the bacon. Pistachios, chopped pistachios, they're so pretty. And then chopped parsley, and chopped oregano, and then a little bit of turmeric. A little goes a long way, so don't go overboard. And then I'll get a little spoon and stir it together. But you could do any combination of herbs and nuts.
That looks so good.
It does look good, doesn't it? All right, so now back to the soup. Time to puree. So look at this first page. I'll show you what it looks like. See those sweet potatoes? They're pretty much falling apart, and that's the stage that you want to get it to before you puree. So I'm going to use an immersion blender. That way I don't have to take it out of the pot. Wish me luck. I'm going in. All right. Paige, come take a look at this. Did I promise you purple soup or what?
Wow.
Isn't that pretty? But it's not like obnoxious purple. It's like beautiful, deep, earthy purple. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how pretty it is to serve. Plain bowl. I'm gonna fill it with the soup. And you don't actually have to fill the bowl because that would be a lot of soup.
That really is purple.
It's
Super
pretty,
purple.
isn't it? All right. Ooh, that looks good. And then a little bit of sour cream. Ooh. And then the moment Paige has been waiting for. Okay. Just a little sprinkle. Isn't that pretty?
Oh, that's so pretty.
Gorgeous. I love it. This soup is delicious. Cauliflower Bolognese. Okay, so I'm just mincing some rosemary leaves. I stripped the leaves off of 2 stalks of rosemary, and I'm just mincing them as fine as I can. And I've got some butter sizzling in the pan. Not quite burning, but close. And I've got some finely diced red onions, along with some garlic, sliced garlic, or you can use minced garlic, and then all of this delicious rosemary and red chili flakes.
Of course.
Our favorite thing in the world. And then I'm gonna give this a stir, crank up the heat a little bit. Oh, what a great start to this recipe. And then while this starts to cook, I'm gonna add the pasta to the water so that when the sauce is ready, the pasta will be ready too. And I love it when a plan comes together like that. So linguine, but you can absolutely do any pasta. Okay, ooh, this is looking good. So I'm gonna move forward with the sauce, add a little salt and pepper, and then tomato paste, so otherwise known as toothpaste in these tubes. Quite a good amount. And then I'll stir it just to kind of start frying the tomato paste. Okay, the tomato paste is frying away, so I'm gonna add the cauliflower. And look at this, Alex. This is riced cauliflower, which is sold in the produce section. All it is just fresh cauliflower pureed in a food processor or just totally pulverized in a food processor. You could do it yourself. Okay, come in and check it out, Alex. This is really coming together. I'm gonna grab some pasta water from the pot because this needs a little bit of liquid, and I'll add a couple ladles full. And then that's gonna cook the cauliflower and also steam it. So I'm gonna keep stirring this sauce until the cauliflower is tender and the flavors have developed. It's gonna take about 6 to 7 minutes. All right, Alex, take a look at this bolognese so far.
Wow, it actually looks like bolognese.
It actually kind of looks like meat sauce, doesn't it? Mauricio is skeptical.
I'm like, I don't know.
I'm here to win you over, Mauricio, and convince you. All right, so Alex, you want to come in and watch the pasta go in? There we go. Baby. All right, now it's not over yet. Before I even stir it, I'm going to add a lot of pecorino romano cheese, a couple of tablespoons of butter, which any self-respecting bolognese maker would add at this stage, and a little bit of cream. Adding milk or cream to bolognese is pretty standard, so just a little bit. And I'm gonna add a little more red pepper flake just for fun. And then, here we go. Come check it out. I turned off the heat underneath because I think it has done its trick, but look at this. It looks like meat sauce. So I'll bring it over here and we'll finish it with a little more cheese, please. And of course, beautiful basil. Wow, cauliflower bolognese, guys.
Revolutionary.
In case your curiosity is getting the better of you, I'm gonna take a bite, and you can tell from the look on my face if it's a win or not. Ready, set?
Come on.
Wow, it's a win. It's a win.
Shrimp sheet pan pita. So I've got mushrooms, yellow squash, red onion, and asparagus. And I'm drizzling with olive oil. I'm gonna grab salt and pepper. You know the drill. And then I've got some Italian seasoning, which is also kind of like Mediterranean seasoning, depending on what's in it. The bottle actually said Mediterranean/Italian seasoning. So they're not exactly the same, but there's a lot of overlap. All right, and then I'm gonna use tongs just to stir everything together. So I scooted them all over to one side, and now I've got some colossal shrimp, which is actually known as U15 shrimp, meaning there are under 15 shrimp per pound. And spreading them out, and then I'm actually gonna sprinkle just a little bit of salt and pepper on the shrimp. But this is basically the beginning of the recipe, and it's gonna get more interesting from here. A little bit more Mediterranean seasoning. And then let's go get this pan in the oven, Paigey. So this is gonna go in a 425-degree oven for about 15 minutes or so. And when I put these in, I'm also gonna add some pita that I have wrapped in foil, and it's gonna warm at the same time everything else cooks. All right? All right, while the shrimp and veggies finish cooking, I'm gonna make a delicious lemony yogurt sauce for the pitas. So it starts with yogurt, plain Greek yogurt to be exact. All right, So lemon juice and then a whole bunch of lemon zest. This is very lemony. And some fresh dill chopped. So Paige, look at this. Can you wrap your head around this or what? Isn't that pretty? Okay, and then a little bit of salt and pepper. And give it one more stir. And then, you know what time it is, Paige? Let's go get the shrimp and veggies out of the oven. And the pita, we can't forget the pita. All right, check it out. Ooh, that looks so good. And I'm gonna grab the pita bread, which is nice and warm and soft by now. Boy, it smells good in this kitchen. I love food like this, don't you?
Looks
Oh
amazing.
yeah.
Look at this.
Those
Okay,
shrimp are huge.
I have a lot of things going on. Well, it's colossal shrimp, hello. All right, so I've got some more lemon and I'm gonna squeeze it over the shrimp and the veggies and stir with tongs. And there's some juice in the bottom of the pan and that's just perfect because it makes everything just much more delicious and succulent. And then everybody can build their own, and this is how you build it. Woo, warm. So I've got this delicious lemony yogurt sauce. So I'll put a nice, generous quantity in the warm pita, and then a couple of pieces of lettuce, and some tomato. Just shove in there as much as you can. And then I'm gonna start with veggies first, and then a couple of these massive shrimp. I've never seen anything like this. They're big and beautiful and shrimpy.
Big, beautiful, and shrimpy.
And then feta. I love the combination of the roasted veggies, the cooked shrimp, the cool feta, and the sliced mixed olives, and then you've got that lemony yogurt down inside.
Mom!
I had to, I'm sorry. That is really good. Great combination of ingredients. Taco chicken Caesar salad wrap. It is a delightful mashup of two delicious things, and it's really, really easy to pull together. I just grated a bunch of Parmesan. Now I'll get started on the chicken for the wrap. I've got a pretty hot skillet, and I'll add a good amount of olive oil. I've got some diced chicken breast, just enough for 2 wraps. I'm making one for myself along with Paige. Hey, if I'm gonna go to the trouble, I might as well make myself one too. I'll sprinkle on salt and pepper. Now to the chicken, I'm gonna add some taco flavors. About 2 teaspoons of chili powder, a teaspoon of paprika, and a teaspoon of ground cumin. Now I'm just gonna stir it up and make sure the spices, the oil, and the chicken are all mixed together. I'm gonna make the dressing for the wraps. It's a quick Caesar dressing with a little bit of a taco spin. Start with some mayonnaise. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it, probably about ½ a cup. And some Dijon. I really like quick Caesar dressings. When I make Caesar dressing from scratch, it's a little bit of a lengthy process of the garlic and the anchovies. It takes a little bit more time. Some Worcestershire sauce and some garlic salt. No peeling and chopping of cloves. Good little time saver. Now for the taco component, I'm gonna add a good spoonful of adobo sauce from a can of chipotle peppers. Oh, why not another little spoonful? And then I'll stir this together. You can make a really big batch. It keeps nice in the fridge. Now I'm gonna chop up some romaine lettuce, which of course is a nod to the Caesar component of this salad. I'm just gonna put the lettuce straight into the dressing bowl. And then I'll use tongs to start tossing it a bit. Now here's where some of the Parmesan comes in. You can also make the dressing in a blender and add the Parmesan there, and it just sort of breaks it all up and the Parmesan becomes one with the dressing. That is delicious too. Okay, I've got 2 big flour tortillas, and I'll start by adding a whole bunch of the salad. I'm gonna leave a little bit of a gap on top and then really load it up. Now I'm gonna add some cheddar cheese. This is for the taco salad side of things. And I have some beautiful halved grape tomatoes. The point is to add so much to the wrap that you're almost afraid it won't close. Then you know it's gonna be good. Okay, I'm gonna check on the chicken. It looks absolutely fantastic. So I'll spoon it on. I'm gonna sprinkle on a little more Parmesan. I mean, you don't know whether it's a taco salad or a chicken Caesar salad, and that's exactly what my plan was. Now I am going to attempt to roll this up. I'll tuck in the bottom so everything won't fall out, and then I'll just fold the 2 sides over as tight as I can, and then I'll start with a little piece of paper just to make it easy for Paige to eat on the run. I'll wrap it with a little bit sticking out. To be safe, I'll roll this whole thing up in foil. So easy. The multi-cooker is my new favorite pot, and I'm gonna use it to make black bean soup. Basically, I'm just gonna throw everything in there, and before I know it, I'm gonna have a delicious soup with all the fixins. I'm gonna cook some veggies in saute mode first. And I've got some finely diced onion and minced garlic. Delicious start. And then I have some diced red bell pepper. I just took the seeds out. A multi-cooker is primarily an electronic pressure cooker, but the great thing about it is you can saute in it before you put the lid on and pressure cook whatever it is you're making. It's really a miraculous machine if you ask me. I'm also gonna add some sliced jalapenos. And then I'll stir all this around. And now I'm just gonna let the veggies cook until they're soft. It's gonna take 4 minutes. I'm back with the chili powder, and that goes in next. I'll add a couple of tablespoons. Gotta have chili powder whenever you make black beans. They just go together. And then a tablespoon of ground cumin, another of my favorites. And then the beans need quite a bit of salt, so I'll add a couple of teaspoons and give this a stir. Oh gosh, those veggies look amazing. Before I put the veggies into the multi-cooker, I added a little bit of lard. You can do butter or oil, whatever you prefer. Okay, this looks great. So I'll add in the beans, just dried black beans. And for the liquid, I've got vegetable broth. You can use chicken broth, even water would work, but I like the flavor of broth. Now the final thing is to set it to cook on manual. Here goes. So it's 50 minutes of cooking, followed by 10 minutes for the pressure to release naturally. Then I'll release the rest of the steam through quick release. The fun part is always taking off the lid and seeing what's inside. It looks really thick and rich. So this is a good time to add the juice of a couple of limes. All right, now I'll stir. And then you can serve the black bean soup just as it is now with the whole beans. But I kind of like to puree the beans a little bit just so the soup has a mix of textures. So there's no better tool for that than an immersion blender. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because I really like the texture. It's sort of a cross between refried beans and whole beans. So you wanna get a nice bowl with a wide rim. Gosh, this looks great. Okay, now for the fixins, I'm gonna add some sour cream, some diced avocado, some diced red onion, and some diced tomato. How gorgeous is this looking? And then just cilantro leaves. Sprinkle them over. It's always nice to give it a little extra squeeze of lime. gonna make lemony salmon with asparagus salad. I'm gonna start by cooking some beautiful salmon fillets, and I'm sprinkling on just some prepared lemon pepper seasoning. Okay, can you see, Alex? So I'm gonna put the salmon down into a pretty hot skillet. I wanna sear the salmon. So I've got some oil in there and it's pretty hot. So I'm gonna let it sit there without moving it. I'm gonna go ahead and season the other side with the lemon pepper. And you might notice I have some fried eggs, sunny side up over here that I've been just finishing frying. So I'm gonna let those sit. They're gonna continue to cook really slowly. We will hope that when it comes time to turn the salmon, it won't stick to the pan. Hope and pray. So the asparagus salad is absolutely amazing. Take a look at this, Alex. What I did was I just took spears of asparagus and a vegetable peeler and just shaved them into little ribbons, and I'm gonna make a salad out of this. So some lemon zest and olive oil, not too much, and some lemon. I'll just squeeze it in with just a couple more ingredients. So I've got some feta cheese, and look at this up close. This is herbed feta cheese, and that means the feta cheese has herbs in it.
Is that what that means?
That's what it means. That's what it means. Some crushed pistachios. So it's just a really amazing, like flavorful, crunchy, nutty salad. And then lots of mint leaves. Did I say the word crunchy? We love the word crunchy in our house. And then I'm gonna grab some salt and pepper as you go across. Don't worry. I need to get rubber bands to tie around my sleeves because I get letters. People worry. People worry about my sleeves. Okie doke. So look at this. Isn't this pretty? I mean, just on its own, I would totally dive into this. Ree Drummond, not so much. I forgot that I have a whole bunch of sliced sugar snap peas. So those go in. I kept looking at the salad thinking, why is this salad like so meager? And that's why. One of the main ingredients wasn't in. So pretend you didn't see that. Okay, and then this goes on the platter. Ah, that's better. That's much, much better. Okay, and then spread it out. All right, how's that look so far?
Amazing.
Beautiful, right? And then I'm gonna grab a spatula. Got it? And let's see how these look. Let's see if they stick, if they stuck. That one, oh, that one didn't. It looks so good. All right, I'm gonna let the salmon finish cooking. It's gonna take about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we will finish off this beautiful dish. So here's what we do. I like it when salmon is just barely done. And then even when you take it out of the pan, it kind of keeps cooking. And then it doesn't get too dry, and it's just perfect by the time you get it to the table. Or the island, in this case. All right. Third piece and the fourth. And then prepare to be amazed. Ooh, I let these eggs get a little bit crispy around the edges, but I love that. So I just cooked these sunny side up, and how I do that is just put, oh no, except for that one. Oh, shoot. Oh man, slippery. We'll just do 3 fried eggs.
Yeah,
how does that
fine.
sound? We're gonna leave that 4th one out because it's gonna mess things up for us. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna eat this for lunch, but I just put them in a hot skillet with butter and let them kind of set, and then I turn the heat to low, and I literally just leave them there until the eggs are, the whites are cooked and the yolks are still really runny. So more pistachios go on, and then more mint leaves, which I think is part of the thing that's so beautiful about this. And then a squeeze of lemon, especially over the salmon. This looks great. Oh, I forgot. I thought it's something, I'm forgetting ingredients left and right. Balsamic glaze. And here's what I like to do. This is truly one of the best ingredients known to man. I'll just do it mostly over the salmon. Just kind of do a little crisscross. Lemony salmon. an asparagus salad with 3 eggs. Make sure you don't do 4 because that would ruin the dish. Luscious salmon burgers. High-end restaurants probably use fresh salmon, but I'm using canned salmon. So I'm gonna make a little mixture to form the burger patties. So I started with a little bit of mayonnaise, an egg. I'm gonna add some Dijon mustard, a good old spoonful. So I'm using Old Bay seasoning, about a teaspoon. Oh, it smells so good. And then I'm gonna do sort of a heaping cup of panko crumbs. This is sort of the filler for the salmon. And then I drained the 2 cans of salmon. And then I'll squeeze in half a lemon. And to help with the flavor, I'm gonna add a whole bunch of sliced green onions. And I think that's it. Oh, pepper. Have pepper. Gotta have pepper. Okay, now I'm gonna smush all this together. It's just nice to be able to turn something into a really exciting dish. Divide this into quarters. So you just want to form the patties. You don't want them to be too thick that they don't kind of set and cook in the middle, but you don't want them to be too little either. I've got a skillet that's kind of hot already. I've got some olive oil in there. So as I form them, I'm just gonna put them straight in. Okay, so they're frying away. I'm gonna kind of flatten them out. Some are bigger than others. They are not uniform by any means. So I'm gonna let these cook on the first side. Now I'm gonna flip them. They're so golden and luscious. Wow, how about that? Okay, so I'm gonna let them finish cooking on the second side. And of course, I can't leave well enough alone. I have to have a really delicious mayo to put on the buns for the burgers. So I've got the mayo. I'm gonna add some capers and more lemon. Whenever you've got any sort of fish or seafood, you want a lot of lemon. It just kind of brightens it all up. Plenty of pepper. Okay, I'm gonna stir, stir. I'm gonna get the bun and I'm gonna spread plenty of this on. I mean, I really wanna taste the mayo, guys. What can I say? And then I'll get one of the salmon patties. This one looks tasty. Look, Stu.
Look at that.
How good does that look?
Perfectly
Wow.
browned.
Right on. The good thing about salmon patties is they don't shrink. So you know when you make a ground beef patty and they kind of shrink. So basically you can just form this to the exact size of the bun you're using and your life will be smooth sailing. So a little bit of lettuce and a tomato. Some pickles, of course. You can do jalapenos, you can do thinly sliced red onion, but look at this. Wow. I think it looks so pretty. Mushroom cheesesteak lettuce wraps. It's like 3 or 4 different mashups going on there, but I love lettuce wraps because they eliminate the bread from any situation, but also just using mushrooms instead of the beef for the cheesesteak part of it is kind of a triumph. I think mushrooms are kind of downright meaty when you cook them a certain way. Don't tell any cattle rancher in Osage County that I said that. It'll be our little secret. So I just sliced some portobello mushrooms and I had scraped the gills out with a spoon beforehand. So I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of soy sauce. Soy sauce is so good with mushrooms. And then a couple of tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. So it kind of helps the mushrooms get that sort of meaty, steaky quality. And then some garlic powder and oregano. Delicious. And then I'm not going to add salt because there's soy sauce, but I am going to add plenty of pepper. So I will give this a quick stir. And then I'm going to put the mushrooms in and just get them all kind of tossed and coated. Okay, so I've got a skillet and I've been heating it up. I'm going to add just about a tablespoon of olive oil, so not much. I'm not afraid of olive oil when it comes to lightening up recipes. I don't think of it as sort of a heavy ingredient at all. So I'm gonna add the mushrooms. Woo, that was hot. And then I also have some sliced onion. lots of onion and some sliced red bell pepper. Oh, it smells so good already. How is that possible? That was like seconds after it hit the skillet. I'm gonna cook this for 10 minutes until everything is soft and the moisture from the mushrooms has all given off. Stay tuned. Alex, slowly come in here and look at this. I just want you to savor. I mean, this is so beautiful. Those onions are so caramelized, and the depth of color in this skillet is just a beautiful thing to behold. So, these are cheesesteaks. I'm not gonna lighten things up in that regard. Instead of like a processed cheese sauce, I'm doing provolone, which is kind of a relatively good cheese when you wanna lighten things up a little bit. So I'm just laying the provolone on top of the whole mixture in the skillet, and I'm gonna put the lid on and just let this slowly melt for a couple of minutes, and then I'll come back and show you how the magic is gonna unfold. Okay, I'd say that cheese is melted. What do you think, Alex?
Wow.
Ooh, that looks amazing. So all I'm gonna do is just stir the cheese in with the portobellos and the onions and the peppers, and it's basically a complete and total mess inside of this pan. And that's what cheesesteaks are all about, whether they're made with mushrooms or beef. So I've got some butter lettuce cups or bib lettuce cups, and I'm just gonna spoon the glorious mixture into each cup. Cheese is gonna go everywhere. You will think you're in a cheese nightmare because you won't be able to get away from it. Wow, oh wow. Okay, what do you think, Alex and Stu?
Those look really good. I'm surprised.
They look fantastically delicious, don't they?
It looks like steak, kind of.
That's the whole point. Mushroom cheesesteak lettuce wraps. Ah, I've got to taste a bite. Don't tell anyone. Oh, wow. What can I say? These are amazing. So I'm gonna turn Caesar salad into Caesar salad with shrimp, but I'm also changing up the way that I prepare the lettuce. Almost every Caesar salad has chopped romaine. Sometimes I'll do an entire heart of romaine, but this time I cut them into quarters. It is going to make a gorgeous and elegant salad. I really like changing up flavors, but also the way I present a recipe. So now it's all about the Caesar dressing. I have a jar of garlic olive oil. This is going to add such a flavor punch to my regular Caesar dressing recipe. So I'll start with about half a cup, and it saves me a step because I don't have to mince the garlic myself. Dijon is something I like to add to Caesar dressing. It adds a great tanginess, about a tablespoon. Same amount of balsamic vinegar, a few dashes of Worcestershire sauce, and this is controversial. Not everybody likes to add anchovies to their Caesar dressing, but I do. It's very subtle, it's not fishy. I'm adding about 4 fillets. And then I've got a lemon, and I'm gonna add about half of the juice. Okay, now some salt and pepper. And then I'm gonna mix it up before I add the next ingredient. That came together very quickly. I'm gonna add some grated Parmesan. The texture of Parmesan cheese in Caesar dressing is so nice. Okay, this dressing is just the right consistency. You want it to be pretty thin because you want it to kind of have a chance to seep into the leaves of the romaine. It's just lovely. And I like that you don't have to toss it. It's nice to just pour them down these strips of romaine lettuce. And I'm gonna cover the top of this salad with beautiful cooked shrimp. These are about 16 to 20 count, which means there are 16 to 20 shrimp per pound. But you can use whatever shrimp you have. You can do really big, colossal shrimp. You can do tiny little popcorn shrimp. That would be fine too. I'm gonna add some slices of avocado. Because I left the lettuce in such large pieces, I wanted to leave the avocado in pretty spears. This salad really is as much about the presentation as it is about the flavors. You know what? Something's missing. Croutons. That's good because I have that covered. I would not have a Caesar salad without croutons. I made my own, the same croutons I make time and time again. They definitely needed no revamping. They're garlicky croutons and they're very simple. I put half a loaf of crusty French bread cut into cubes on a sheet pan and spread them out. Then I drizzled over 1/4 cup of the garlic olive oil I used in the dressing. I sprinkled them with half a teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, tossed the cubes to coat them, then put them in a 250-degree oven. And when 25 minutes were up, they were deliciously crispy, and I took them out and let them cool. Croutons are the best. I could snack on these, honestly. Now just a couple more things to finish off this beautiful salad. I've got some fresh Parmesan. And then just for a little bit of herby freshness, I've got some parsley leaves, which I think is kind of in with the theme of keeping things in big pieces. And then this can never hurt, just another little squeeze of lemon juice just to finish things off. This is a Caesar salad with shrimp. I may never be able to go back to the old way of doing things. You know, sometimes I try to imagine my cooking life without sheet pans, and I can't even imagine it. There are so many of my favorite recipes that I couldn't make if sheet pans didn't exist, including this spiced chicken sheet pan supper. Oh boy, is it packed with flavor. And I serve the chicken in lettuce cups. It is so, so divine. And it's nice and healthy. So I'm starting with the spice mix. I started with some paprika, and I'm adding both onion powder and garlic powder. I've got some salt, cumin, which I love, turmeric, which I really love. It's so nice and beautiful and golden. And then black pepper. Such a beautiful spice mix, and it's so, so good with chicken. Okay, that is the spice mix. So I'm gonna use half of this on the chicken, and I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of olive oil over the chicken, and I'm using really thin chicken cutlets. You could do pieces of bone-in chicken. You could do really any kind of chicken that you have in your fridge. So I drizzled on the olive oil just so this spice mix would stick, and I added quite a bit of the spice mix, as you can see. You don't have a lot of chances to get this chicken really, really flavorful, so you really want it to count. Then I turned it over and sprinkle a little bit more of the spice mix. All right, and then I'll just kind of smush it around, and that way it's nice and moist. Ooh, look how pretty that chicken is already with those spices. The paprika is such a gorgeous color. All right, so now on to the veggies. I've got a bowl of broccoli, and I'm gonna dump in some drained chickpeas or garbanzo beans, and a little bit of olive oil here too, and the other half of the spice mix. All right, and I'll stir just so that spice mix totally coats the veggies. The spice mix itself can take a sheet pan supper in a totally different direction. So instead of the spices I used, you could do oregano and thyme and, you know, give it a little bit more of a Mediterranean feel. All right, everything is coated in the spice mix. So the veggies just get totally poured over the chicken into the cracks and crevices. I love chickpeas. They are so, so good, and they're gonna get slightly crisp in the oven. And speaking of the oven, I'm gonna go ahead and put the sheet pan in the oven, really hot, 450 degrees, and it's gonna take just 15 minutes. So I mentioned that I'm gonna serve the chicken and veggies in lettuce cups, so I'm gonna make a little tomato cucumber salad that'll go over the top. So I've got some olive oil, and I just have really thinly sliced cucumbers and halved cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes, and then a little bit of red wine vinegar, little salt and pepper, and just to make it all make sense, some beautiful parsley. And I'll give this a stir, and just in the time it takes for the chicken and veggies to cook, this will sort of meld and marry and just become even more delicious. All right, so that's the tomato cucumber salad. Now I'm gonna clear up while the chicken and veggies finish cooking. It's gonna take about 10 more minutes. I think the chicken is done. It smells so incredible in this oven. Ooh, oh my goodness. The combination of flavors, and look at those roasted chickpeas. The broccoli has beautiful color on the outsides of the leaves. Oh, and I love the golden color of the turmeric in the spice mix. So good. So now I'll show you how to serve this. It's nice to have a board nearby, and you can just put all the chicken on the board because you need to slice it. I'm just gonna do one just to show you. Ooh, hot, hot. Look at that color on that chicken. It is so pretty. And then I have these leaves of Bibb lettuce, butter lettuce, anything works. You can even do romaine leaves if you want to. And then basically you just take a few of the strips of this incredibly flavorful chicken and lay them on each of the little lettuce pieces. And you want to get in here and get broccoli and chickpeas. By the way, these chickpeas are a really yummy snack too. And this beautiful tomato cucumber salad goes on. So basically, you're trying to fill the lettuce wraps almost to the point where they're too full to fold and eat. That's my approach anyway. And then a little bit of Greek yogurt. You don't need much. It just adds a nice little creaminess just to kind of go alongside all of the amazing things going on. Wow. Love this recipe. It's very healthy. You've got the cool and crisp. You've got the warm and spicy. I love when dishes are the complete package. And don't forget, this is very, very good for you. Your mom would approve. Mustard herb chicken cutlets. When company's coming over and time is tight, like it always is, mustard herb chicken cutlets are the way to go. I've got 8 chicken cutlets. They actually started as 4 chicken breasts, and I cut them in half through the middle. I seasoned them with salt and pepper, and I've been browning them in some olive oil and butter. The first side's nice and golden, so I'm gonna let them cook on the second side, and I'll chop up some garlic. Whenever I'm making weeknight meals involving chicken breasts, I often cut them in half like this and turn them into cutlets. They cook a lot faster, basically in half the time as a regular chicken breast. Okay, that garlic is chopped. Because these pieces are so thin, they really just take about 3 minutes per side for the chicken to get done. You can't do that with a regular chicken breast for sure. Now back to the garlic. I'm gonna save some of this for the garlic spinach, but I'll add some of it into this beautiful mixture. Oil and butter and chicken flavor, yum, yum. Now the reason this is great for company is that it has some white wine. I'm gonna add about a cup, and this is the perfect time to add it when the pan is full of all that flavor. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is already starting to bubble around the edges, so that'll be reduced in no time. While it does, I'm gonna get started on the garlicky spinach. I'm gonna add some olive oil to a pan, and this is kind of a high-sided pan because I'm gonna cook so much spinach. To the olive oil, I'll add the rest of the garlic that I chopped, and I'll let that start cooking. Okay, that's looking good. So I'm gonna try to get all of this in the pan, oh my. This is baby spinach, and I love this dish because you can substitute whatever greens you like. Kale, Swiss chard, even collard greens would be good. All right, I'm gonna let this start to wilt, and I'm gonna go back to this glorious sauce. It's kind of thickened, and it smells so good. Now for the mustard, I'm gonna add 2 heaping tablespoons of Dijon. Any mustard works. You can do sort of a spicy mustard if you wanna kick things up a little bit. So I'll stir this in and kind of let it become one with the sauce. Alrighty. Now for a little bit more liquid in the sauce, I'm gonna add about a cup of low sodium chicken broth. And then I'll season this with a little salt and pepper. And I'm gonna let this bubble up, and I want it to get richer and richer, so a pat of butter will help that along. Okay, I'm gonna let the sauce cook in the skillet some more, and I'm gonna check on my spinach, which is starting to wilt. Tongs are the best thing to use when you're trying to wilt a whole bunch of spinach. I kind of get what's on the bottom and pull it up and put it on top, and then it kind of starts to wilt the spinach from above too. Okay, back to the sauce. I've got parsley, chives, and dill. And I'm just gonna load this sauce with all this herbaliciousness. Do you make up words when you cook? Because I do. Okay, that looks fantastic. Now I'm gonna put the chicken back into the skillet so it can simmer in the sauce for just a bit. I like to do this because if any of the chicken is just barely undercooked, when it simmers in the sauce, it'll finish everything off. Okay, this is bubbling away. I'm gonna let the chicken sit, and I'm gonna finish off this glorious garlicky spinach. Now I'm gonna cut a lemon in half. I like to squeeze a little bit of lemon juice over the spinach. It just kind of brightens it up, adds a little acid to the mix. And the spinach just needs a little bit of salt and pepper, and that is really it. And I'll give it a toss. Dinner's ready. I can't believe it. And I like to make a really nice, generous bed of the spinach. And I see the chunks of garlic in there. And then the star of the show, the chicken. These are so small that 2 chicken cutlets is pretty much a serving. And I'll just kind of crisscross it. And then I have to get some of this glorious sauce and put it over the chicken. There's plenty of herbs in the sauce, but I'll just add a few more on top. Gorgeous and fast. Doesn't get any better than that. The first one I'm gonna make is bruschetta chicken or bruschetta chicken, however you pronounce bruschetta. And I am very excited about this. Now, before I get too far, I do wanna say that I have some free ingredients. And the free ingredients are like olive oil, salt, pepper, so you can't hold those ingredients against me. You have to have some freebies that are sort of staples for every recipe. So I've got some crusty Italian bread, and I cut it into a pretty fine dice. And I basically want to make a skillet chicken dish that is like bruschetta or bruschetta appetizer. I'm going to cook some chicken, put a tomato mixture on top, and I'm going to put some little pieces of bread in the tomato mixture. You got that, Todd?
Yes.
Are you confused yet?
A little bit.
That was a lot. So I tossed the bread in olive oil, salt, and pepper, and the bread is one of the 5 ingredients. So Paige, come around, and I'm gonna put this into a 375-degree oven. So while the bread toasts in the oven, I am going to get started on the chicken. I'm gonna get some olive oil into the pan. Again, this is one of my free ingredients. Please don't hold it against me. Don't penalize me. And I'm gonna season both sides of these 6 chicken cutlets. So the bread is the first ingredient. The chicken is the second ingredient. I've only got 3 left. Okay, and I'll get the chicken in the skillet. A little tight squeeze, but that's okay. I'll sprinkle on salt and pepper. How are you guys today?
Good.
We've been cooking a lot together lately, and I wanted to put a little spin on today's recipes just to keep things fresh and unpredictable. I don't want Todd getting too comfortable in his new role as cameraman. Okay, the chicken looks great, so I'm gonna let it keep cooking. And I'll get started on the tomato mixture. So my third ingredient, diced tomatoes. Okay, and then I'm gonna press in some garlic. Todd, would you say garlic is a free ingredient?
No.
Yes. Oh, wrong answer, son.
It's not though.
It is, garlic
It's really
is.
not.
Garlic is a staple, just like salt, pepper, olive oil, garlic. You keep garlic in the pantry, it's a freebie. So I just pressed in 2 cloves of garlic. I want the tomato mixture to be nice and garlicky. And the next ingredient is fresh basil. Fresh basil is not a free ingredient by any means. It's very precious to me. I love fresh basil so much. So I'm gonna pick off some leaves. But basically you wanna just roll them up and cut them really thin. So the basil goes into the tomatoes. And I am also gonna add some balsamic. And then the 5th ingredient is balsamic glaze. And I'm just gonna add about a tablespoon to the tomato mixture. See that, Paige? Oh, it's so
More.
I might add just a little bit more balsamic glaze like Paige told me to. So I like to do what Paige tells me to do everyone. Ah! What is your problem? You did not even indicate that he was behind me. I mean, honey, well, I don't even know anymore. I'm so.
Good looking.
Oh, okay, I'll take that. I'm making bruschetta chicken. Yep. So I turned the chicken over in the skillet, and I'm gonna finish cooking it on the second side. My heart is just racing. Thanks a lot, honey.
Check it. Make sure you're
Let's go
good
get the bread. Oh, my husband likes to scare me. Okay. Oh, Paigey, look at this bread. So you really want them to be crispy because I am going to mix them with the tomato mixture. So look at this. Just spill them all in there. And this is something that you definitely want to do at the last minute. After about 15 minutes, the little bread chunks will start to get a little bit soggy as they soak up the liquid in the tomatoes. How did this happen? Lad Drummond showed up just in time for the food to be done. So now,
Good timing. Good planning.
I've got a pretty white platter. The chicken is done, and they cook really, really fast. So if you're trying to get food on the table for a bunch of hungry family members, which is like every day of my life, chicken cutlets are great.
Twice or 3 times a day.
It's true. But you know what? That's the life I have chosen.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so now look at this, guys. Just kind of spoon the tomato bread basil mixture over each chicken piece. Look at this, Paige. Isn't it pretty? I really want to cover them up, just let it go all over the sides. And then, this is my favorite part. Balsamic glaze again. And then you just kind of go back and forth. And look how pretty that makes it. Isn't that gorgeous? I love this because it's almost like paint and you can sort of decorate a platter and then just get, are you with me?
You already have green in there. This is a little over.
There is no such thing as overkill when it comes to decorating a plate. I'll just keep going.
It looks pretty cool though.
Thank you. I think it looks great. So, bruschetta chicken. It was so easy, it only took 5 ingredients. I think this is gonna go on the rotation permanently. Extra basil for Lad though. A very veggie soup. So I've got a pot with some butter and I actually heated it until it got to the brown stage. And I'm gonna add some onions. And then I have a bowl full of root veggies that I peeled and chopped. Carrots, parsnips, turnips, and rutabagas. And then some ginger and garlic, whole garlic cloves. And then I'm gonna stir these around just to coat them. I'm not gonna have to cook them at this stage. I just wanna kind of get the veggies coated in that delicious brown butter mixture. Sprinkle some salt and pepper. Perfect, and now I'm gonna add the broth. I've got 2 big honkin' cartons of chicken broth. You can also use veggie broth if you want to keep it truly vegetarian. 2 spices. I've got some allspice and ground coriander, sprig of thyme. Stir all of this together. All right, now I'm just gonna bring it to a quick boil and then I'll turn it down to a simmer, put the lid on and let it cook for 20 minutes until the vegetables are totally soft. Okay, the soup has been simmering. It's just about ready to puree, but first I'm gonna fry some shallots that I'm gonna use to serve over the top of the soup. So I've just got some vegetable oil and very thinly sliced shallots. I peeled the shallots and sliced them. And now I'm just gonna fry them in vegetable oil until they're golden brown, and then I'll take them out of the oil and drain them on a paper towel. Look at these beautiful fried shallots. Absolutely incredible topper for soup. All those vegetables have been cooking away, and I'm glad I did that because I'm gonna pull out the thyme. It has done its job. So I'm gonna turn off the stove and I'm gonna puree the soup. Now, you don't have to puree it, you can keep it pretty chunky, but in the fall, I just love pureed vegetable soups. In the fall, I just love any soup, to be honest. And look at the color of this soup now. So pretty.
That's so pretty.
And look, I love this. Every now and then you get like a chunk of carrot that got missed. But it's kind of like a little treasure hunt that way. And this soup is pretty rich and filling, so a little goes a long way. Okay, so speaking of garnish, I'm gonna get some of these beautiful shallots. Take a look, Paige. And the great thing about shallots is they're so light and like thin and lightweight that they just kind of hover on top. And then I've got some beautiful parsley. Alrighty, very veggie soup with fried shallots on top. A few more would be nice. This recipe is so good. It is so very simple. Now, I've been breaking up some cauliflower into tiny florets, and I have a little bit of oil in a nonstick skillet, and I'll just throw it all into a pan, get it in there and get the sizzling process going. Now, I also minced up some garlic for flavor, and it goes right in. I'll just stir it around. I want this to cook in a small amount of time, but get some good flavor on the outside of the cauliflower. I'm gonna let that keep going, and I'll slice up some green onions. I've just got a couple here. I'm gonna slice them real fast. This recipe doesn't even make it to 16 minutes. It's really that quick. And I'm gonna go in with these and get them going in the skillet. Okay, the cauliflower is definitely getting there. It's already got some nice dark edges. Now, soy sauce makes this extra delicious, so I'll add about 2 tablespoons. I'll just cut a lime in half, squeeze it right in, nice and tangy. Okay, now because I always think a little spice is nice, I'll add some sriracha. You can use any hot sauce you want. And then I'll just stir it around long enough for it to totally coat the cauliflower. It is done. I'm gonna get it into a bowl because it smells so good, I can hardly contain myself. I love light stir fries like this, which means you can just pile it high in the bowl. Ooh, delicious. Now I'll sprinkle on some more green onions. And then I like to squeeze on a little extra lime juice, put the lime wedge right on the bowl. Now seriously, how long did that take? How cool is that? Lemon-Thyme sheet pan chicken and potatoes. So I'm making a little bit of a marinade to toss the chicken in. So it's olive oil, some minced garlic, whoops, the juice of a lemon. These are juicy, juicy lemons. Oh my goodness. And then some lemon zest. I zested the lemon before I cut it in half. And then I have some fresh thyme leaves and salt, plenty of salt, and plenty of pepper. And then I'll just stir this together with a fork. Very simple. I'm using bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. and then red potatoes that I cut in half, and sliced red onions, and then I put quite a few lemon wedges on the sheet pan, and those are gonna come into play later after it cooks in the oven. Alrighty, so this is all mixed together. It doesn't take too much, and I'm just pouring it over the chicken first to make sure it gets plenty of the juicy sauce. And then I'm just gonna use my hands to toss everything together and mix it. I don't wanna leave them in sections. I wanna mix it all together so the juices from the chicken will kind of coat the veggies and the onions, and it's all gonna become one. So the only thing you need to be sure to do before it goes in the oven is to make sure there's plenty of space between the pieces of chicken, because if they're cramped, they won't get nice and brown. All right, let's get this gorgeous dinner in the oven. So the oven's at 425, and I'm gonna roast all of this for about 45 to 50 minutes until the skin on the chicken is gorgeous and the vegetables are done. Woo!
Juicy.
That looks fantastic.
Wow.
Okay, I've got a beautiful platter. So I was gonna just kind of dump it all on here, but I think that would be a catastrophe. So I'm just gonna transfer everything to the platter. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, so now for the really fun part. Remember those lemon wedges? Here they are. They're now roasted lemon wedges, and watch this. Look at this. That kind of roasty lemon. So fish the lemon out of here and just squeeze any juices that it has left. You can get some of the juices on the pan and just kind of drizzle them over. You don't want to do that too much of that because there's a lot of fat there, but boy, oh boy, that looks great. And then for a finishing touch, I always like to wipe the platter because dribbles bother me. Not really. I've got some beautiful thyme leaves and just kind of arrange it here and there and everywhere. I think thyme is one of the prettiest herbs. It's just so light and kind of slightly curly. Parsley, never hurts. But didn't this turn into kind of a gorgeous dinner?
It's really pretty. Beautiful.
And it's so simple. It's basically chicken, potatoes, and onions, but it's all kind of what you season it with and how you cook it, and of course, how you present it. That is one beautiful sheet pan supper right there. So easy, so elegant. I like to make a chicken quinoa bowl, and it is delicious, so much flavor. I am making the chicken first. I've just got 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and I drizzled olive oil on, and then I'm sprinkling on some taco seasoning, which is one of the things that makes this so easy. You don't have to mix up the seasoning yourself. And then just a little bit of salt. Make sure the chicken is well seasoned. So I'm gonna put them right onto a grill pan, and I need to cook the chicken about 5 minutes per side until it's totally done. All right, I'm gonna let the chicken rest. And I'm gonna move over to the quinoa. This is a chicken quinoa bowl after all. Now I cooked some red quinoa, and I just used the package instructions. So I'm gonna zip it up with a little bit of lime juice, and then some lime zest, a little bit of salt, and some chopped cilantro. Quinoa is so delicious, and you can use it in place of rice in things like the chicken bowl that I'm making. Now I'm gonna let it sit for 5 minutes. It is time to assemble. The first thing I'll do is add the quinoa, which makes perfect sense. I'll slice the chicken breast and just arrange it kind of around the edge of the bowl. And that's gonna leave room for lots of other good stuff, including this amazing salsa. It's easy roasted corn salsa. I threw half a cup of thawed frozen roasted corn kernels into a bowl. with a 1/4 cup of diced red onion, a 2-ounce jar of drained pimentos, and 1/2 cup of halved cherry tomatoes. Then I added the juice of a lime, a tablespoon of chopped cilantro, a pinch of salt, and gave it a toss. This salsa is so pretty. It's actually more like a corn salad, to be honest. And I am being generous with it in this bowl. I've got some sliced avocado, some queso fresco, a dollop of sour cream, a squeeze of lime, and then I like to put a couple of lime wedges on the edge of the bowl. Some hot sauce, of course. Perfection. The only thing that'll make it better is a sprinkling of cilantro. That is one beautiful chicken quinoa bowl. Now I'm gonna build another one just like it. Have you ever heard of cauliflower pizza crust? Being a food blogger, I see it all the time. I've never actually made one, so I'm gonna whip one up now, and I can't wait for the results. I've got a 1/2 head of cauliflower, and I just cut it into chunks. I'll throw it into the food processor, and I'm gonna let the food processor grind it up. I'm gonna pulse it until it's really fine. My food blogging friend told me to keep going until it looks like snow, and I think I'm about there. Yeah, looks like snow, all right. Take the blade out, and I'll get this into a bowl. I'll cover this with some plastic wrap too. Now I've got a fork, and I'll just poke a couple times. Now this goes into the microwave. I'm gonna draw out the moisture and soften it a bit. That's gonna take about 4 minutes. From what I understand, the secret to cauliflower crust is getting all of the moisture out of the cauliflower. So I'll take the plastic wrap off, and I have a thin towel here, and I'll dump the cauliflower right on there, and I'll let it cool for a couple minutes until I can wring out all the moisture. Now I'm gonna fold this up, get it nice and tight in there, and I'll wring all this moisture right into the same bowl that I cooked it in. Gosh, I cannot believe how much water is in the cauliflower naturally. I got all of the moisture squeezed out of the cauliflower, so I'm breaking it up a bit, and I've got a few more things to add to the crust. I'll crack in an egg, some mozzarella. I'll save the rest of this to go on top of the pizza. I'll also add in some grated Parmesan and Italian seasoning, just keeping it simple. A little salt and pepper, of course. Now I'll stir this all together and see what it looks like. I've got some parchment paper on here so the crust won't stick to the pan. I'll start by getting it into a ball. Gosh, it's so easy to work with. Now I'll press it into a crust. One secret I've heard about cauliflower pizza crust is you want to bake it super thin. Now I'll get this into a 425-degree oven for about 15 minutes. It smells so good and it looks amazing. I think I could just break off a piece and eat that right now. I'll put the sauce on the crust. Again, I don't want to add too much moisture, so I'll just put a thin layer. I think that should be enough. Okay, that looks like a good amount. The rest of the mozzarella goes on. Gosh, I cannot imagine how good this pizza is gonna be. I'm gonna put this back into the oven until the cheese is melted. That crust got even more deep golden. Oh, I can't wait to try this. I'm gonna grab some basil. Not gonna slice it up, just gonna grab big leaves. And I'll tear big pieces right onto the pizza. Gosh, what a pretty pizza. I'm gonna make an Asian noodle salad. It's so flavorful, so easy to make, and it's bursting with pretty much every color under the rainbow. Now, there's a lot of prep to this salad, but nothing is complicated at all. I just sliced up some purple cabbage, otherwise known as red cabbage, depending on who you ask. Now, I've got some cucumber slices. I used an English cucumber and just seeded it and sliced them into crescent moon shapes. And then kale. Kale is my life these days. I don't know why, it's just so delicious. It holds together really well in salads. I just pulled the leaves off of stalks of kale and then I shaved it really, really thin. Now, a bag of sweet peppers. I love these little things. They have a teeny bit of spice, but they're really, really beautiful, super tasty. Now, there's another kind of cabbage in the salad, Napa cabbage. Also one of my favorite salad ingredients. It's nice and crunchy and curly and pretty. I love colorful food and pretty food. And then some shredded carrots. And then I have a nice pile of bean sprouts. Really, you can use any veggies you want for this salad. Pretty much anything goes. And I also have some sliced scallions. I'll get those in there. There is so much flavor in this salad. I absolutely love it. Now, gotta have noodles in this salad. That's part of what makes it so delicious. I've got some thin cooked spaghetti. You can use linguine, you can use rice noodles, pretty much any noodle you have in your pantry. The point is you have noodles, you have colorful veggies, and it always turns out gorgeous. The salad's all tossed together. Now for the delicious dressing, which is a major part of how delicious this is. It starts with olive oil, about a half a cup or so. I love jars when it comes to making salad dressing. It makes everything so easy. And then about a third a cup of low sodium soy sauce. I'm just guessing. I'll also add about a fourth a cup of oyster sauce. It's really thick and rich. It adds a little bit of sweetness. That's a good amount. And then for some bite and tang, about a fourth a cup of rice wine vinegar. You can just use regular white distilled vinegar if that's what you have. You can just use what you have in your pantry. Now, I love toasted sesame oil. I think I'll add about 2 tablespoons, which is quite a lot, but I love the flavor of this stuff. It's so good. Now, speaking of flavor, I've got some minced ginger, out of this world, and then several cloves of chopped garlic. I definitely need some sweetness, so I'll put about 3 big tablespoons of brown sugar. You can also use honey, that's really delicious too. I love brown sugar, what can I say? Now I'll just get the lid on and give it a shake until it's all mixed together. Okay, that's it for the dressing. So it just gets poured over this gorgeous, colorful, crispy, crunchy salad. Now I'll just toss it around. Oh, this is looking good. You basically want to have as many vegetables as you do pasta noodles. You don't want to have too much of any one ingredient. Now that's looking great. I just have a couple of more things to add. This will send the flavor over the top. I've got some fresh cilantro and then peanuts. I love the crunch of peanuts in this salad. I'll just get about half a cup or so. You can just leave them like they are. I like to chop them up a bit so the pieces aren't quite so big. Those look good, so they go right into the salad. And I'll just toss it. You can also save a few extra cilantro leaves and peanuts to sprinkle over at the end. I think everything looks just perfect. Now, this is a lot of salad, so I usually grab the biggest platter I can find. If you start with a small platter, you're gonna have salad all over your counter. So it just goes right on. I mean, this salad could win every beauty pageant it enters. Nothing about it that isn't gorgeous. I tell you what, if you love color, this is definitely the salad for you. One of the main things I get asked about is how to make quick meals. I have a section on my cooking website called 16-minute meals, and I got an interesting question last week. Somebody said, I've cooked all your 16-minute meals, how about a 10-minute meal? So immediately my shrimp stir fry came to mind. I've got 2 pounds of shrimp and I threw them into this big skillet with a little oil and butter. Now I've got the heat on high and that's part of what makes this meal so quick. Everything cooks really, really fast. Okay, I'll let the shrimp go for a little bit and then I'll dice up some veggies. I've got 2 zucchini and I'll just lop off the sides, cut them in half, cut them into quarters, and then I'm just gonna dice them up. Okay, now I'm gonna give the shrimp another little stir. I wanna make sure they keep cooking evenly. Shrimp is perfect for quick meals because it cooks really fast and it's one of those great things to keep in the freezer. Definitely a staple. Okay, now I'm gonna throw in a little garlic. Adds big flavor. Stir that around. Okay, now I've got some fresh corn and it's raw. I'm just gonna cut it right off the cob. I'm gonna hope it stays on the cutting board and doesn't go all over the floor. I love using fresh corn, it's really crunchy. Okay, I'm gonna check the shrimp again. Okay, they are looking perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and take them out of the pan because I don't want them to get too tough, too chewy. Shrimp are best when they're just barely cooked through. Okay, now I'm gonna put a little more oil and butter in the skillet. Get that stirred around. Now I'm gonna add everything in stages. The first thing I'll throw in is the zucchini. It'll take just a little bit longer to cook than the other veggies. The secret here is just to stir it around, let it cook for about 45 seconds to a minute, not very long at all. The key here is to put the tougher vegetables in first because they need a little bit longer to cook. Great, so now I'm not gonna take it out of the pan, I'm just gonna scoot it out to the outer edges of the pan, and then I'll grab the corn and throw it right in the center. I really am throwing corn everywhere. There will be aftermath. Okay, now I'll just kind of stir this around, let it start to cook in the center. Okay, this would be a really good time to salt and pepper everything. The corn doesn't need too long at all. The point is not to cook the corn all the way through. I just want to get it warm, basically. I like it to be really crunchy. That's enough time. So now I'll scoop the corn out of the center of the pan. And then I have about a cup each of red and yellow grape tomatoes, and I just cut them in half. And I'll throw these in the center. And I don't want to cook these at all. Again, I just want to warm them up. And then the shrimp goes back in. And I get all the juices from the pan. That's flavor right there. Stir that around. And then honestly, what totally makes this dish is lemon juice. I'll just squeeze a whole lemon all over the top, let it kind of sizzle in there with the butter and oil, and it just creates this delicious flavor. It makes it really fresh. And then the basil goes in. And then another thing I love to add is a cup of Parmesan shavings. I'll just throw it right in. And then give it a toss. Dinner is done. I have to say, I think that was a little less than 10 minutes.